Hi, this is Jaya. In this video, we shall see the summary of Bacon's essay of revenge. Come, let's go to the essay. Bacon begins his essay by saying, revenge is a kind of wild justice. He's saying, revenge is a feeling in each and every one of human beings, and we feel that taking revenge is justice, but he says that it is wild justice. And why he says it is wild justice is, law does not accept your mistakes when you say that you did it for revenge, which the more man's nature runs to. And he says, but it is there in each and every man's nature to take revenge. And he says, the more ought law to weed it out. And he says, definitely we need law to take this out. Law, revenge also must be punishable under law. Then he continues saying, for as for the first wrong, now you will say one person is taking revenge only because someone has done harm to him. So when you take the first wrong, it doth but offend the law. He says that wrong will be punished if it is coming under punishable by law. But the revenge of that wrong putteth the law out of the office. But at the same time, if that first wrong is not punishable under law, you cannot do anything. Then he continues saying, certainly in taking revenge, a man is but even with his enemy. Then he says, okay, now we are going to take revenge. You are taking revenge on someone because he's done some harm to you. But when you take revenge, you also become equal to your enemy. But in passing it over, he is superior, for it is a prince's part to pardon. But he says, when you forgive, that is when you pass it over, means when you forgive your enemy for the wrong he has done to you, you become superior than your enemy. And that time you become like a prince who has the capacity to pardon a wrongdoer. Like if you take a king, when he is going to give judgment to someone, he does not have any personal feeling towards him. So when he listens to the wrong done by that person, it is in the capacity of the king to even pardon him. So he says, when you pardon a person whom you know and who has done wrong to you, you become greater than that enemy. And Solomon, I am sure, saith, it is the glory of a man to pass by an offense. And then he takes the quotes of King Solomon and he says that even King Solomon had said that you will be glorified when you forgive an offense done to you. Then Bacon continues saying, that which is past is gone and irrevocable. See, something which is done to you is past. It happened in the past. You cannot change the past. And history is history. So you cannot do anything about it. It is gone. And wise men have enough to do. So if you are a wise person, you will have lots to do. And what you will be doing is, you will be concentrating with things present and to come. So you will be concentrating in present and in future. Therefore, they do but trifle with themselves that labor in past matters. So, only those who are not wise will be thinking about what happened in the past and they will be suffering. There is no man doth the wrong for the wrong's sake. He says you should remember one thing. No one does anything wrong knowing fully well that it is wrong, but thereby to purchase himself profit or pleasure or honor or the like. Or maybe some will do something wrong for the sake of some benefit, for happiness, or even to find honor or something like this. So some persons will do wrong without knowing it is wrong, but some persons may do wrong for some gain, so for some happiness. Then he continues saying, therefore, why should I be angry with a man for loving himself better than me? Here he says, so you should think, why should I get angry with a man who loves himself better? He is doing something for his personal pleasure, for his personal gain. So why should I think about him bad, or why should I get angry about him? And he loves himself more than me. That is why he has gone to the extent of doing something wrong to me. So I should not get angry with him. This is Bacon's argument. And if any man should do wrong merely out of ill nature, why? Yet it is but like the thorn or briar which prick and scratch, because they can do no other. At the same time, if you come across anyone who harms, who does something wrong because they themselves are very bad, you must consider them like thorn or briar. because the thorn knows only to prick and the briar knows only to scratch. They cannot do anything else. So these people also, these bad people also can only do wrong. So don't bother about them. The most tolerable sort of revenge is for those who wrongs which there is no law to remedy. And then he says certain wrongs you have to tolerate. At the same time, there are certain revenges also which will be considered as tolerable when you are going to take revenge in such a way that it is not punishable by law. But then let a man take heed, the revenge be seen, as there is no law to punish. So when a person is taking revenge, he is taking revenge only because the wrong done to him is not punishable under law. The same way, when he is taking revenge, he should be very careful that his revenge is also not punishable by law. Else, a man's enemy is still beforehand and it is 2 for 1. Because when he takes revenge, and if that revenge comes under punishable by law, then he will be lesser than his enemy, and now he has to face 2 enemies. One is his own enemy, second is the humiliation of being punished by law. Some, when they take revenge, are desirous. The party should know whence it comes. And he says it's better that you take revenge and let the person on whom you are taking revenge know you are taking revenge and for what you are taking revenge and when you will take revenge. This is the more generous, and he says this is only very good. For the delight seemeth to be not so much in doing the hurt as in making the party lament, because you will feel happy not in taking revenge but in letting the wrongdoer know that he is being punished only for the wrong he has done, and maybe that will make that person to repent. But base and crafty cowards are like the arrow that flieth in the dark. And he says only cowards will throw arrows in the dark. See, when an arrow is coming in the dark, we will not know from where the arrow is coming, when it will come and hurt us, or who is throwing that arrow. So he says don't be like a coward. Let that enemy know that you are taking revenge only for this reason, for this harm which he has done to you, and what sort of revenge you are going to take. Cosmas, Duke of Florence, had a desperate saying against perfidious or neglecting friends, as if those wrongs were unpardonable. And then he takes the example of Cosmas, the Duke of Florence, who took revenge on his friends for the wrong which they have done. Because he said enemies can wrong you because they are your enemies, but a friend should not do any harm to us. And as a friend, when you are doing wrong, you are not the person to be pardoned. You shall read that we are commanded to forgive our enemies, but you never read that we are commanded to forgive our friends, because he said that everyone has been commanded by God to forgive your enemies, but no one has said that you should forgive your friends. But yet the spirit of Job was in a better tune. Then he takes an example of Job and he says, shall we take good at God's hand and not be content to take evil also? So Job has said that when God gives us good things, we are very happy and content. In the same way, when God gives us evil also, we should think that God only is giving this to us and we take it in the same way. Same way he says, and so are friends in a proportion. And then he says, when you're taking good from a friend, you should also be prepared to take the bad from your friend. This is certain, that a man that studieth revenge keeps his own wounds green, which otherwise would heal and do well. Here Bacon says that when a person wants to take revenge, he keeps the wrong done to him fresh in his mind, and therefore the hurt, the wound is green in his mind. But when he does not think about revenge, he will not think about the wrong being done to him, and therefore slowly that wound will get healed, and later on he will also be well. Then he goes to talk about public revenges. He says public revenges are for the most part fortunate, as that for the death of Caesar, for the death of Pertinax, for the death of Henry III of France, and many more. So he says when public revenges, when all the people gather to take and gather together and take revenge. He says like the death of Caesar, the death of Pertinax, and the death of Henry III of France. He says they are more fortunate. You cannot do anything about it. But in private revenges, it is not so. But as a private person, when you are taking revenge, he says it is not so. It is not bad. And then he continues by saying, nay, rather vindictive persons live the life of witches, who as they are mischievous, so end they infortunate. Because he says, when in private revenge, when you want to take revenge, you live the life of a witch whose mind is only ugly and dirty and wanting to do bad to others. So you become mischievous and you are the person who was going to live agony. This is the way he ends the essay. And if you have anything more to add on to this, please write it in the comment box. Like the video, share it with your friends. And if you have not subscribed my channel, please subscribe. Thank you.